Barber College success. As you can tell by the lack of beatboxing, Craig Charles is absent today. Jordan is also absent. He's taking his license test. Craig is in Milwaukee for the Confess Project. So I'm your co-host slash host for today. Am I Fields? Am I your barber? And I'll let our other guest introduce herself.
Hello, everyone. This is Natanya Rochelle Conley, owner of NRC Design Solutions, business consultant agency. Hit me up if you've got any ideas on how to start a business or grow your existing business. 423-943-6604. And Craig, we miss you.
what what a cool industry you're in. So explain about what you do. What is it you do?
Well, what I do, like I said in the business consultant, is that I speak with people who are interested in starting a business
Uh-huh.
because that's always a cool question. How do I get started?
Yeah.
So there's things that you should think about before you get started in a business. What are your finances like? What is your credit like? Because we're always just like, oh, I want to do, bake, do cupcakes or whatever the case may be, and that's great. But there's a business aspect of this too.
Have you ran a barbershop scenario? Have you planned any of those out?
I haven't planned any of those out.
Do you see any holes in the current structure that you feel like you could fill?
Well, there's always something to do. Like I said, my favorite client, Craig Charles, has given me a lot of opportunities for him from writing bio letters to writing enrollment forms for his nail academy that's getting ready to open up. So it's just so many things that you can do because while you're focusing on for you, like Ammi, like I said, I'm still working on his brand, everybody, because Ammi has such a unique name.
Thank you.
But as you get your business and you're cutting hair and that's what you want to do, there's other aspects of it that you want to as well. So while you're focusing on that, then that's where I come in to say, hey, I can book your your in-person appointments or whatever the case may be. As Craig and I always say, we're on the world tour. So
There you go. That's awesome. Yeah, because when you're, sometimes when you're focusing on keeping a business going and
Yeah.
just doing the tangible things that need to be done, it's hard to expand. And you coming in, it's like cloning yourself almost.
Right.
Like you get somebody else to help come up with ideas.
Yeah, I'm that extra set of hands that can help if you're looking to hire people. Like I've got a client right now that's looking to hire. So it's like, oh, what do I do? So
Now,
you just never think about them.
is this a pretty common business? Like, there other people do what you do frequently, or have you created this business by yourself, or how?
Well, the concept came, and I'll be honest that I have some entrepreneurial friends, and through the conversations, they're always like, "Man, I wish I had somebody here that could go run this errand for me,
Hmm.
or I wish I had somebody that could go pick this up for me because I just don't have time." And it was like I could do those types of things,
Yeah,
like go, if you got to pick up supplies or fill on online documents. People, that's like the dreaded
me
thing.
too. I hate it.
Hate it. See, but then I could come in and say, "Hey, I can fill out all those, online documents for you, whatever." That's what I
I need you to
used to
call
think.
DPOR and wait for about 50 minutes to talk to these people.
Right, and these are things that are taken away from you making your money,
You're
right?
right.
So that's where I come in to be that extra set of hands to help with that.
And
Yeah.
this could apply to any business, probably.
Any business, anything. And I've had opportunities. And one thing I like to know what people do around here, right?
Mhm.
Because there's so many businesses that are here, and it's like I want to know what everybody does so that we can start working together, right? Networking.
I'm
There's a
interested to know see what you're doing with my name. Like,
Am I when I think about you, Am I your name is just like so unique.
thank you.
And I'm sitting there looking at you now, and it's like you're a beautiful person.
Well, thank
And
you.
like I said, and we're gonna get something together for that.
Well, I
We
appreciate
are.
that. I always felt like it was a curse growing up.
No,
It was because uh, it was weird. Because, well, for me, I feel like growing up was a very confusing time because uh, I grew up in a small rural community in the mountains. Uh, as a minority, my father was black, my mother was white, which already added some conflict.
hmm
And then they named me Amma, which everybody's like, Amy, Amma. And it's like, I got this name,
hmm
and it was always like, it was kind of difficult growing up, it's like I got picked on a lot. I didn't know where I belonged. And now growing up, I'm happy to have my name. I'm blessed to be different. I'm blessed to be who I am. And it has been a blessing, but it was hard growing up. And my dad played a song, "A Boy Named Sue" by Johnny Cash. I don't know if you ever heard that song.
Uh-huh.
Well, he played that song and he wanted me to listen to it. I'm like, Dad, is this why you named me this? So I could get into fights and stuff growing up. But I do love my name and I appreciate it.
Because the first time that I heard it, I was like, Craig, is that really his name? Am I? And he was like, yes. And it's just like, am I the greatest? I mean, it's just so many ways that you could go with that. And
See, it
I
wasn't
just
like
like your
that growing
name.
up. Like I'd play football and I'd go, and I did pretty well at football, and I'd make a tackle or something. Somebody, the announcer from another team, be like, "Amy Fields on the tackle." So they're like, "Dang, that's a big girl out there playing on the football team. That's a big old girl."
But no, it's beautiful. And do you have a junior? Do you have MI junior?
No,
Did you name
I
it?
wouldn't do that to my
You
children.
would do.
No, I would not do that to my children. I knew how hard it was. My oldest son is named. My name's William. His name's William. My dad's name was William.
Okay.
So, and he's my William Miles. My youngest son's Azariah. So I feel like that'll cause
Oh.
some challenges for him. It kind of looks like Azar. It could be Azaria, maybe. I don't
Uh-huh.
know, but that might cause some conflict for him.
Oh, how
So
precious.
how's the entrepreneur life going for you? Have you?
Going pretty good. Like I said, just starting out. I've been in business for like 6 months, so it's not like a huge, in anything. It's a slow startup, but you trust the process.
Just like being a barber coming out of school, like it takes
Absolutely.
time to build clientele, some ins and out that you need to work on to grow. Is there anything that you felt like you were overexerting yourself with, like trying to do too much at one time, or is there stuff you added on to, with like what has changed in those 6 months from when you started?
Well, in the 6 months that I've started, like I said, I had a friend that sat down with me the first part of May, and we just sat and talked. I was like, she's like, "What do you want to do?" And I'm writing down ideas. Oh, this is what I want or whatever. So I started out wanting to do like an organization business. I'm just being transparent how the process went or whatever. And I said, "Oh, I could help people declutter, clean up, or whatever, office spaces or whatever."
Everybody needs that,
Everybody
especially if you've
needs
been in
that, right?
business for a while.
And I was like, "Oh, this is great." And then as I got to talking to other people, it was like, like I said, my entrepreneur friends, it was like, wow, I could really help in other ways to help grow their business. That's my whole point, is to help you grow your business, right? So I went from organizing the closet space to helping, either a person start a business or an existing business owner grow their business. So that's been the evolution. So I say that to say this: you may start out one way, but don't get deterred if you go in another way. Just keep going. As we
Yeah,
say, pivot.
yeah,
That's
pivot,
our word.
keep moving forward.
Keep moving forward.
And you said something about working on grants. I think that's something
Yes.
that I think people that are wanting to open barbershops and stuff like that don't take into account. Like you can speak to the city, and sometimes there's money available for you to start your business, or a class you can take to gain money. So how does that work?
Absolutely, especially for minority-owned businesses,
Mhm.
there's funds available. But the thing is having someone that can write the grants for you,
Okay.
which I do have a great lady that does write grants. So reach out to me if you need somebody to write a grant for you, because of course you have to write the proposals or whatever the case may be.
Mhm.
But there's money there, and the experience that I'm getting right now is like how you do like for your reimbursements for the money, and then you have to keep track of where you spend it too.
So after you spent the money, they will reimburse you for that as long as you track it and keep track of that.
Yes, and the key is that you spend every dollar. So
Mhm.
people who have grants is like if they give you $10,000, you spend that ten
10,000.
thousand dollars because guess what? You're probably going to want some more money later on, right?
Yeah.
So they'll be like, "Well, she didn't. We gave her 10,000. She didn't spend it all. Why would we want to give you anything later?" So if they give you the money, people spend it all down to the last penny.
So the grant, you spend the 10, you get the money. Do
Mhm.
you pay the money back? Is that how a grant works?
Grants, you don't pay the grants back, but you just have to spend the money. Like
Okay.
where you just can't say, "Well, I wanted the grant to go buy something generic or whatever." You got to be specific as far as where you're going to use it, to pay staff, buy equipment, or whatever the case may be. Then you write it to where you prove that yes, you spent this money. So it's not like you just get money and just go blow it on
Go
whatever,
buy a new
right?
car or
Go
something.
buy a new car. No, it doesn't work that way. You've got to spend it for what you requested it for.
So,
Right?
so if you didn't have somebody like you, how would you go about finding these grants in your city or town? How would what way would you go about
Well,
that?
the main thing, like I said, that I've found is that finding somebody who actually writes grants because they're already in that realm of where to look.
Is there a title for that?
Just a grant writer.
Just a grant writer?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Because like I said, the lady that we use, Diane Harden, shout out to Diane. That's what she did like in her corporate America job. And then she did her own business. So she's already in that realm as far as like where to look for money. So what I would suggest that if you're interested in to try to find you someone who is a grant writer, do that research for you, because it does take some time to research for that. But there's money out there.
I've been suggested to call the town manager, city manager, or something like that. I don't know if that's a good avenue to go through or not, but
anything's worth a shot, right?
Yeah, give a phone call. You got a grant. I'm actually in the process of opening my own barbershop. I'm looking for a location.
Okay.
I've been kind of vague about it because I want it to be organic. I didn't want to force it because I feel like when you force it, it makes it harder on you. I want to be really organic about opening a shop and finding a space. And that's one thing about being a barber. It's like if you've been cutting hair long enough, somebody that you cut owns real estate or knows of people that own real estate.
Right.
And that's really all I've done was just reach out to people. I spoke to people like, hey, 2 or 3 opportunities to open barbershops, and maybe more in the future. So it's been really, really organic. And I thought rent route too, because when you open a business, I don't necessarily want to get everything in at one time,
right?
Because it's so expensive. And I feel like people push themselves against the wall going out and get tons of small business loans and just filling up a shop with just things, and it's like you could build for those things. You don't have to get everything at once.
Right. And one thing I would say, even starting out, like you said, with wanting to open up a barbershop, it's good to, like you said, get the word out. People know, hey, I'm interested. But one thing you can do in the meantime is, like I said, save money. People don't realize that money is key. And when you start a business, guess what? You're not going to be able to go get a business loan. Business credit, right?
Yes.
So you can't be in business for 3 months and say, oh, I'm going to go get a loan for $20,000. In your business process, start saving some money. Start thinking about, what is it that I need? You need barber chairs, you need scissors, or whatever the equipment that you need. And as much money as you can give towards that, then we really don't want to start off with a whole lot of debt, right?
Yeah.
Personal or business, plug in there for that. Credit is important. Oh, it is important.
How do you get credit for business? Say you open up LLC, in what way do you start working towards getting credit?
Right. The thing you should start off with first are like your net 30 accounts. Like now use like Quill.
Elaborate on that net 30. I'm sorry to
I know it's a lot, but when you're in your business credit, like what they consider net 30 accounts. So you go and spend maybe $100 with them or whatever the case may be, and they give you 30 days to pay off balance in full.
Okay.
So this helps you start building like your business credit,
just like you would build your own
cards. Like Shell or Fleet cards are pretty good for like small business owners. Then you start getting into your credit cards, like your Chase Inc. I'm throwing out plugs. I hope somebody gets like a sponsorship.
Yeah, let me get a card. Give me a black card.
Building that way, but it is in the same sense as like your personal credit. That's how you build your business credit.
And then also, you familiar with LLCs?
Yeah.
When you're opening, like, say, a barbershop or a business, is it better to go the route of or going through your own name?
Right. Now, one thing that I learned on my business journey, because I am set up as like a sole proprietorship, and the biggest difference between doing like a sole proprietorship versus LLC is that LLC covers like your personal, like your liability part.
Of course.
Like if anybody comes after you or whatever, or the business, they can't come after your personal stuff. Whereas a sole proprietorship is just you, right? So the LLC gives you that umbrella for your assets. So as for me personally, I'm just being transparent. As I build assets, then I'll probably go on to do the LLC part. But for me right now, it was like sole proprietorship was where I should be. So it just depends
on where you're at in your journey.
But definitely working, if you start out sole proprietorship just like I did and work your way up to LLC, that's fine. But that just covers your assets.
Okay, awesome. Yeah. That's some great information you're giving. That's some questions. I'm asking you questions I want to know personally.
I'm here. I'm here to help you with anything. So,
well, I really appreciate that. And you've been working with Craig for a while now. Is it you deal with the school and the barbershop aspect?
Well, basically with Craig, it's kind of like I deal with Craig the person.
Yeah. Okay. So you just holding him down.
Well, I'm not going to say just, but like I'm not sure if you know how we kind of started out a few months
I'm not. You
ago,
go ahead.
but he was interested in increasing like his enrollment numbers at the school. So I
Mhm.
was like, well, okay, to me it's like okay, no brainer. And I said, well, how do you recruit? And he said just through social media. And I was like, no, Craig, we've got to get you out in front of
Feet on the
people,
ground.
right? And people hearing your story.
Mhm.
So this is where where I've come in to get him in front of students, high school students, get him in front. He's spoken at the Rotary. We've been all, just here.
Yeah.
And that's where I came in to say, Craig, people need to know your story because they know your name.
Hmm.
And then from there, it's just, taking off.
There's a disconnect there between like the person and then like the social media person.
Right.
Like, and people sometimes if you get to a point on social media, people think like you're accessible. Like it's uncomfortable to even speak to you.
Right.
But it's really not like that. And I think it's not like that with most people, Um, as far as like the barbers, the I don't know how to put this. I guess famous barbers
Mhm.
are most of the time they're pretty cool. They go to the events, the shows, and I mean, and you can walk up and speak to them. I mean, I'm sure more people want to speak to them,
Right.
depending on their number. But they're just human beings like we are.
Right.
We're all trying to grow and get better.
Yeah, and it is because one thing that when I tell people that I work with Craig, they're like, "Oh my goodness, I'd like to meet him in person." I'm like, "Let me call, text or whatever. Hey, Craig, such want to meet you." And he was like, "What?" So it's like you said, people just do his name so much, and it was just like he's a human person like anyone else.
Mhm.
And so that has just started even more momentum and him getting the word out about his schools and all of his upcoming endeavors. So it's been a game changer for him.
Yeah, just shout him out.
Yeah.
Craig's been a blessing to me. The reason I'm on this
Absolutely.
podcast has been because of Craig.
Yeah.
So, but back on the topic at hand, like it's open a shop,
Mhm.
creating a business, and when you open a shop, that to me that is like opening a door to entrepreneurship. Like some people think getting a shop is the last point, but I feel like getting a shop is just like you don't have to get a shop. Your chair that you run is your business.
Right.
That's where your business starts. It starts in school, of course, and then transitioning into a shop. And then you don't have to necessarily go and open a shop. But for me personally, I feel like that's a next level for me to challenge myself in entrepreneurship, like to run a business. I'm not really anxious to get barbers in. Of course, that's one way to make more money is by getting barbers, but I want to get the right barbers in. I don't want to get I don't want to take just anybody because I feel like from what I've learned that getting the wrong barber is just detrimental. It's just detrimental. It costs you way more than money in a shop. I mean, having the wrong people come in.
Right. And once when I went to Craig's 5-year school anniversary or whatever and realized like how many students graduate and then they're gainfully employed like when they graduate, it was just like, wow. Because all of us that coming out of college don't always have jobs. You know what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, for sure.
So it was like, and this is like a key to people with the entrepreneurship and building like generational wealth for you and your family. Absolutely.
Yeah, and it changes your whole mindset because once you come into something, because almost everybody takes a leap. You're either coming out of high school, not going to college, and people are like, "What are you doing? Why not going to college?" Or you're leaving a career and going on to a different career. People are like, "What are you doing leaving here? You got this," Then it's like you're taking that leap, and it's like you're freeing yourself from this mindset of dependency upon like a company or some kind of employment. Not that anything's wrong with that. You provide for your family or take care of your needs or whatever you need. But for me personally, like being my own boss is just such a liberating feeling. And I'm sure you feel the same way.
Right. But then, like you said, I was kind of in that in between because I'm almost 49 years old. And it was always like go to school and go to work.
Mm-hmm.
That was pretty much it. So, like I said, I started with the phone company back in '99, and I, still am gainfully employed while I, start my business as well. But that was just all that we were told.
Yeah,
to go work for someone else.
That's supposed to be American dream, right?
It's supposed to be,
yeah.
right? And then it's like the fog come off my eyes, and it was like I can start this, myself.
Yeah, and then once you do that, it's like, what can I do? What else can I do? I'm like, go get my real estate license. Like it's like
Absolutely.
you could just add so many more things to yourself, and you're always working, you're always bringing in money, and then you build those assets that make money while you're not working, which is the next level. And then we're really talking there. Now you're really doing something,
right,
Right. And the only negative is you have to prepare yourself for retirement, because there's no 401k right off the, especially with borrowing out the rip. So you have to be save money, look into acquiring assets like stocks or real estate or whatever.
Right. And those are attainable, because even with jobs such as with me being 23 years in, they stopped paying into our pension like years ago.
Yeah.
So that's usually what you would get, right? Your pension.
Yeah.
But now, like you said, you've got 401k, you've got your IRAs, CDs, or whatever. So you've got options as long as you're thinking forward
Mm-hmm.
to not spend everything that you're making and try to prepare for your retirement, you'll be fine.
And that's the hardest part, because if you don't take your money and put it somewhere or into something, you will spend it. You're going to spend it, because not only are human beings going to live to the fullest amount that they can.
Right.
With, if you give me $100, they're probably going to live within that realm of $100, and unless they get more or lose it. So you need to take that money and put it somewhere, either into some kind of asset, into some kind of fund you can't touch. If it's a saving account, I'll be honest with you, things happen. And you're probably going to, unless you're just super disciplined, so you're probably going to have to get in that savings account at some point.
Right.
And it's really hard, especially when you have children.
Right. And people say your generation and your kids and my grandkids coming up, we have access to so many tools to where we can have that financial literacy where we did not have it before. Because everything I've learned about credit personally has been through the bumps and bruises and all on my own, because it was never taught to us. Like, oh, you get a credit card, $500, I'm gonna max this thing out, you know, and you're not worrying about, you got to pay this back. So it's all about, like you said, being conscious, being responsible with the money that you do have. Credit, very important, very important. And like you said, if you make $100, don't spend $100.
Well, and I grew up, my dad was the first of the credit generation, so he got this credit card, and to him, I guess it was free money.
Right.
And my father was an artist, and artists are notorious for being bad with money, or just not having any money at all. So like, I saw that struggle at a young age, and of course I lived through it. And not that I felt like I did without, but there were several Christmases in a row, like, hey, this ain't happening. You know what I'm saying? We ain't even gonna get a tree because it ain't had just another day. Right. And I've learned from that, and I realized I didn't want to put that kind of pressure on my family. So it just takes those baby steps and discipline. It's just like it's trying to lose weight, which is another thing that I'm working on. And it takes discipline.
It does. But then one thing, you just don't be so hard on yourself. Okay?
I am.
Just do realistic goals. And that's in life in general, right? Do realistic goals.
What's a realistic goal?
Because like you said, with your weight loss journey or whatever, and if you tell yourself, like, maybe lose 5 pounds in a week or something, just not say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a week. That may not happen, but it's just like, okay, maybe 5.
You might be dead after that. You go lose 20 pounds. I don't think that's realistic.
But some people will say, I'm going to lose 20 pounds in a week. And it's like, no, maybe start out with 5, because you're trying to encourage yourself to keep going, right? Yeah. So create realistic goals and not just beat yourself up. Oh, man, I lost 4 pounds instead of 5 this week. I'm just, whatever. And celebrate the wins, right?
That's the biggest thing. That's helped me through this. And sometimes you lose track of your little wins after you keep going. But it seems like, especially when you're trying to stay humble too. And I think that's my problem. And Craig's always remind me, like, you do this, you do this, you do this. And I'm like, oh yeah, but I'm trying to stay humble in my mind. Right. But at the same time, I'm discrediting my wins. I'm not celebrating my small victories.
Absolutely.
And the small victories is what powers you to the big ones. It's like stepping stones to the big ones. And it's almost, I don't know, it's almost detrimental to try to stay, I don't know. I have this thing where I'm just like, I don't want to be in the light. And then sometimes and Craig's the one's like, hey, come over here. So one day at a time.
No doubt. But like you said, we got to focus on the positives, right? Instead of I don't have. Why don't you say I do have? You have a family, you have healthy kids, you have a healthy spouse. I mean, you focus on your positive of what you do have, and not, well, man, I don't have that big house over out in the ridges. Well, you have a house, right? Yeah. You have a place to live.
So that's one thing I was okay. Like, and that's another thing Barber taught me, because when I was in the process of getting my license, I knew I wouldn't make any money. So I started off doing $5 haircuts. You know what I'm saying? $5 haircuts in 2018, 2019. That's not realistic. Like, it's not, you can't support your family on that. So we had a house, we had a nice house, we sold it. And we moved into this single wide trailer. It was like 6 of us, and we I remember putting those bunk beds together. It was miserable. Oh, and but we loved harder in that small room. We loved harder, and we made it home. And slowly I started picking up, and getting better and getting clients. And then we decided to buy another house. And you know, we've been blessed ever since. But just celebrating that small single wide
Right.
got us to our big house, you know.
Because you have to appreciate what you have right now.
Mhm.
Because if you don't appreciate this $10 that you've got in your hand right here, what makes you think that you're going to get this 100? You know,
Yeah.
you got to appreciate that. Oh, I have this $10 over here. That $10 turns into 100, 200, or whatever the case may be. But you've got to appreciate where you're at right now.
And that's like the you know, the walk of barber school. Like when you first celebrate, when you first get to school, you
Mhm.
might not know how to cut hair, but hey, at least you took this leap. You made the
Right.
decision to do it, so
Right.
you're there. And then you start to pick up some skills, and then it might just be on a mannequin head, but at least you can do now on a mannequin head what you couldn't do before. And then you switch over to people, and you're like, okay, this is my first time to people, and you're nervous and you're shaking. And I remember what it was like. I'm not going to pretend like I was
Right.
shaking like crazy. You know, first haircut, I was nervous, sweating. I'd sweat really bad. That was my thing. Like I knew I was having a hard time when I start sweating. And it's like nowadays I don't really get those feelings anymore, and you kind of miss them. And that's why teaching is cool, because I can go back and I can see the students go through the same
Right.
phases that I went through, and it's
Right.
really cool.
And I appreciate that you teaching because you know you have that skill and you're wanting to give it to other people. I love that. People who teach because you're giving that to the future and you're just not holding it in. You know what I mean?
And that was instilled by Craig, you know. And then you know, I was cutting this guy's hair the other day, and I was telling him he should, you know, I live in it's a small community, and he sells cars, and I was cutting his hair, and I was like, yeah, man, you know, he's a creative dude, and I was like, hey, you should be a barber. And he's like, why are you telling people that? I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, I'm a car salesman. I'm not going to tell people they need to go sell cars. It's more competition for me. And I'm like, but I don't think about it like that. You know, I love this so much, and I get so much joy out of it that I want to share it with you. And that's kind of what Craig has taught me.
Mhm.
And in doing that, you would think that it would cause more competition, but it just opens up more opportunities and blessings for you. You know, so but people try to hoard up what they got. They don't want nobody else to have it. They think they got something nobody else has got, and they don't want to give it to nobody. And that's what hurts people. You know,
Mhm.
and it hurts your legacy as well.
Right. And then one thing we were talking about with business as well. You got to learn to work with people.
Yeah.
Just like you said, there's no point in you holding all your barber skills in and just like, oh, nobody's ever going to do it like me. You show people that, and everybody's got their own unique way of doing things or whatever.
Mhm.
But you love what you do so much that you're like, yeah, why don't you be a barber?
Yeah.
Because you see that in that person that, oh, you would be good at that.
And working with other businesses too
Yeah.
is really cool. Shout out to Breaker Barber Company. One of the coolest things I've seen them do was they had a brewery right next to them or near them, and they worked with the brewery and they created their own barbershop beer. It's in their name.
Wow.
And, you know,
Wow.
and working with other small businesses like that, I think is really cool, and is only going to like add value to the community itself. You know, when everybody's working together, everybody grows, everybody eats at the same time.
Right. And that's a concept that we really need to embrace because
Yeah.
there's just so many people, oh, I don't want to deal with this person because of this or whatever. It's like, let's work together.
I mean, and not that there aren't people that have businesses that um how do I describe this? Need some love, or you know, maybe maybe they just want to hoard everything for themselves. But that shouldn't slow your growth down. That
Right.
shouldn't slow you down. That shouldn't discourage you from reaching out, because there are people, and it's all about relationships. Everything, especially barbering, is about relationships, because you can get a haircut anywhere. You know, why do they come to you? Some people say, oh, I'm the best. There's always somebody better.
Mm-hmm.
And no, and if it ain't gonna be better now, there's gonna be somebody better later. You know, you might be the young cool barber now, but then 10 years down the road, there's gonna be a whole nother young cool barber. So like,
Right.
it's all about the relationships that you build and grow with.
Right. And a good friend of mine did say, whenever you're in business and chasing money is like doomed to fail
Yeah.
because it's like that money is not as important as building those relationships.
Yeah, that's going to sustain you a lot longer than any kind of monetary gain that you can
Yes.
have, I guess. I don't know. They get kind of big. I don't know how big it will be, but
I want to quote Craig, but I know I'm going to get it wrong about the network and net worth thing.
Okay,
But
yeah.
that's his thing.
Your net worth increases your net worth.
There you go.
Yeah.
There we go. Shout out, Craig. We love you, Craig. But then I understand that more, like I said, being a business owner myself, and it's like, it's not about the money. It's about building those relationships. Because I never know, say, I need you to come do an event for me or whatever
Mhm.
it is. You be like, yeah, sure. Because we've got that relationship.
Yeah, no problem. Yeah, I'll do it. You know, and then when, you know, and you got the relationship, and you might charge that person that you don't know you might charge them this much money, but since hey, that's your homie, I got you, charging you nothing. You never
Right.
know.
And that's just the opportunity, right?
Mhm.
To say that, okay, we're working together and we're on the gram or do whatever we do, but that's the opportunity. Some people just oversee, they don't see that.
So when you come into business and you take a look around, do they ask you to come in and pinpoint places where you can work, or do they have a plan for you to go ahead and do so?
Usually, whenever I have consults with my customers, I always ask them, where do they want to be? Because that's the thing. I want to do. I want. Where do you want to be? Not me to tell you where you should be.
Of course.
I'm like, am I? Where is it that you want your business to be? So then we're having that conversation, and then I'm like, okay, this is where you want. Then these are the steps to get you there. So this is I'm helping you get where you want to be.
Do you feel like you work with more people that are kind of busting out the seams or trying to bust out the seams? Like, you know what I'm
Some
saying?
people are just really trying to get by, just like, oh my goodness, I'm overwhelmed. What do
Yeah.
I do? And it's like, okay, let me step in. Because, like I said, you're focused on doing what you like to do.
Yeah.
Right. But then you've got all this other stuff. You got this paperwork you got to do, and you've got all this whatever. And it's like, let me help you do that piece so you can focus, on your customers. But the main thing is for me to do, like, because everybody's business is different, right?
Yeah.
So I'm listening to you and getting those solutions for your business, because everybody doesn't run theirs the same.
In my mind,
So
it's a loose like comparison, but I remember talking to a dog trainer, and he was like, he said other dog trainers were complaining because the person wouldn't really reinforce everything once they got the dog back, but the dog trainer said it's not their job. They weren't there. They just want to enjoy having a dog.
right.
Like they don't want to have, what I'm saying? This is your job to teach. They want to enjoy to have a dog. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? So in my mind, it's like you're doing all the training and getting everything prepared while they're taking care of the dog and living with the dog. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's a very loose comparison. I don't know why I jumped in my head. My mind works so much different than most people.
But then there's just those small things that people are like, oh, I hate this. And I'm like, I don't care to
Yeah.
do it. Go fill out a form for you online or go do what
You do the
I
tedious
like it.
stuff.
Yeah. Because I've been doing customer service since 96. And that's another thing.
Yeah.
Customer service in any industry is very important. And creating a customer experience is important as well.
I wonder how we can incorporate a customer service in a barbershop. Like, because it seems like with the barbers, when people come get their haircut, if they don't like their haircut, you never see them again, or at least not for a while. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Or if they just had a bad experience, you just don't see them anymore. Like, there's no way to have like a. And then barbers, if they know they're going somewhere else, they have to live with that uncertainty of like, why did this person leave? And it's
Right.
like, you know what I'm saying? And it's uncomfortable sometimes.
Well, now that you've asked me, like, how I do my consults for business, how do you do your consults with haircuts?
What do you mean? Like when people come get a haircut?
Yes, when people get a haircut, what's your consultation like?
Yeah, come in. Hey, how you doing? What's your name? Good to see you. How did you hear about me? Oh, that's awesome. So and so. Yeah, I love that guy or that person. They're great people. What can I do for you? This, and this. Okay. So you're telling me that you've been going to where? First, I find out where they are going, right? So mentally, I have I don't compare myself with other people, but when you tell me where you're going, you hear stories about other places from other people, and you just kind of file that in your memory banks. Not that I'm hating on people, but in my mind, it's like, okay, this issue has come before me before of somebody that they've dealt with in a certain place. So I'm like, okay, I can fix that. And then formulate a plan, give recommendations. I usually don't try to get too crazy on the first time with the haircut. And then, I just have a conversation as we go, ask them how they are. And I want everybody to leave my chair positive, on a positive note, even if it's not just a haircut, but maybe give you some kind of encouragement for something. And that's about it. And, and then you pray they come back. It's like, that's that gray area where it's like, if they don't show up, what did I do wrong?
Right.
And thankfully I've been so blessed. And the only complaints I really get is like, you're too busy. Like, I can't get with you. You got to book 2 weeks in advance. And
such a harsh thing to,
I know.
I hate that for you.
Yeah, I know it's terrible. It's not terrible, but that's so far it's been my only negative complaint that I've had. And I don't. Do you have some way to fix that? Is there?
No, I was getting ready to say that's a good thing for you
Yeah, of
to
course.
be booked like that, because that's encouragement for you that
Mhm.
you're doing something right. And it's like, dang, if the worst thing that people are going to say to you is that you're too busy,
Yeah.
you know, besides you working 24/7, I mean, you want to work some more hours. I don't know how to, fix that right off the top, but that's a good problem to have.
Yeah, and I talked to a guy. He does lawn care, and of course, he was like, "You need to find a way to clone yourself." He's like, "That's what you do," and I was
Yeah.
like, "How do I clone myself?"
Right.
And I guess the next answer was teach people, teach other barbers. Not that I'm trying to make barbers come work for me, but just to instill the same kind of love and genuineness and professionalism is the biggest thing. Like, because we want this to be taken like it used to be. We want this to be like, okay, held in high regard to the kings of Egypt,
Right.
which people can't really fathom that kind of no nobility, but honestly that's how we were regarded, and that's what we want to bring back to this industry.
Right. So of course that's where I'm thinking, Ammi needs to find someone else to work.
No shop, yeah.
So
There's no crown cuts because I'm 45 minutes from the school in Bristol.
okay.
So there isn't a school except which I encourage people to go. They have the trade schools and stuff
Mhm.
to go to trade school or go to crown cuts. I have a couple of students that are in high school that and what kudos to them, because they were just like freshmen in high school and they said, I want to cut hair. Parents brought them a barber chair and they cut in their house. Freshmen in high school.
What?
Yeah, exactly. Like, just to have that kind of laser focus, I think is incredible at that age.
Wow. But yeah, Emma needs, I don't know, shout out. We need to find someone to work with Emma since his schedule's so busy.
Yeah, I need a clone. I need you to work. I need you to do all the work and give me the money that you make. I don't need.
If I could cut hair, you hired me to do that.
Of course.
I don't cut
I don't
hair.
need you to. I'm gonna get you work for me besides cutting hair. But I think we had a great episode, and I really appreciate you coming on. If do you have any final thoughts that you want to share?
I just always want to tell people, like I said, believe in your dreams, follow them. Don't let anybody stop you, friends, family, or whatever. Do what you love. And like I said, whenever you start your business, hit me up if you have any questions
up.
about anything. Trust me, we'll work it out. But it's been fun seeing you again. Emma's my buddy, and I miss Jordan today.
Yeah, Jordan.
Good luck with your test, buddy.
Yeah, good luck, Jordan, on your test. Hopefully everything goes well. Craig has a safe trip back from Milwaukee.
Yes.
Thank y'all for listening again, and God willing, we'll have the whole crew back here next time.
All
Barber
right.
College success.
See ya.